Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I am asking the question, can Parler's hacked data be used in prosecutions? And I think this is actually going to really surprise you. Now, as the mob was basically storming through the Capitol this past Wednesday, one hacker archived their post on Parler in an attempt to, and I quote, help reconstruct the role of social media platform played in the deadly assault on the U.S. Capitol. I am quoting verbatim. Now, the hacker said that her goal was to preserve every post from Wednesday's Capitol breach before the Parler platform was taken down, like, and again, I quote, a bunch of people running into a burning building trying to grab as many things as we can. Now, this set off a firestorm within Parler and their community, and groups on other platforms began posting items like what I'm about to mention here. And as you know, Parler was indeed shut down. Obviously, they grabbed everything. Now, a group calling themselves, and this is one of many, the North Central Florida Patriots wrote, and I actually have a screenshot of this, and I quote, "Bad news. Left extremists have captures and archived over 70 terabytes of data from Parler servers. This includes posts, personal information, locations, video, images, etc. The intent is to mass dox and a list to hold patriots accountable. It is too late to scrub your data and it is already archived. There is nothing you can do to prevent what's already happened. All you can do is prepare for the fallout. Accountability may come in many forms for our free speech, doxing, jobs might be called, addresses leaked, and people coming to your home, to your house, etc. Things will get better before they get worse." And from there, it kind of trails off. That was a direct quote, but that is the core of what is going around. Apparently, these people that were on Parler, they are bracing for impact. Now, on the hacker's Twitter feed, she clarified exactly what she was able to replicate. And again, she also had help from others that joined in her cause, what she was able to replicate out of Parler and store it into multiple Docker containers. Now, it's not as much as the Parler users feared, but it still could be potentially damaging. And to quote the hacker on from her Twitter feed, she said, "Only things that were available publicly via the web were archived. I don't have your email address, phone, or credit card number unless you posted it yourself on Parler." Now, I reached out to her directly, essentially to her. She's the one who coordinated this hack, asking to interview her. And like other publications that I've read on this, she politely declined to be interviewed by me by essentially blocking me on DMs on Twitter. So obviously, she does not want to talk to the press or the media in any way, shape, or form, including little old me. Now, with that, I wanted to understand if all of this data that was essentially stolen, it was replicated right out of Parler, and I'm not going to go into the sophistication of the hack, but essentially she and others were able to gain administrator level account and create multiple administrators and then start exfiltrating data as fast as they could from Parler to multiple Docker containers that they had spun up. Apparently a weakened API was behind this, and that's the way they got in. And that's about all I'm going to explain on the technical side of this right now. There are actually some really good articles on that are more sophisticated about that. But I wanted to understand if this stolen data could be used as actual evidence in a U.S. court of law for, let's say, prosecutions for those that were committing crimes on Wednesday. So I reached out to a state's attorney who's a career criminal prosecutor who would be prosecuting a case like this. And given the sensitivity of the evolving situation and obviously their job in the government as a prosecutor, they were happy to lay all of this out for me, but did not want to give their name, which obviously I'm going to respect here. So I'm going to tell you the exact question and phrase that I actually leveled out to this prosecutor, and I'm going to give you the complete response unedited as well. I think it's important for transparency. And so for that reason, here is my full and unedited response, or rather my question to her. And I quote, "Here's the situation. Before Parler was shut down by Amazon, a hacker was able to get into the platform and copy out all of the data from Parler in terms of public posts. So, for example, if there was a video of me kicking in a door at the Capitol and I put on Parler, this guy now has a copy of it. That part I understand. What I'm wondering, though, and would like to speak to in my video if this intelligence is legally actionable. In other words, could the FBI get a copy of this data and then go kick in a door and arrest the person who posted it, or is this verboten? Again, these posts were on Parler, were public and not PII, personally identifiable information, like credit card numbers, etc. The response I got from this prosecutor was eye-opening, and it is rather detailed. And so please bear with me. It is probably going to take me a minute or two to actually respond to this answer, but I had no idea this, and obviously there's no way I could have made this up. So to respond, the prosecutor said, and I quote, "If the material was obtained quote unquote illegally, but wasn't obtained by a state actor, police, or someone acting at the request of police, it can likely still be used by law enforcement." Example of that. Guy breaks into a house and steals a bunch of laptops. He realizes the laptops contain child pornography. He, being an honorable thief, turns it over to the police. The foundation would still need to be laid for that computer evidence to show ownership, accessibility, etc., but just because it was obtained illegally doesn't prohibit police from using it. Search and seizure laws, much like freedom of speech, only applies when the government has acted in a manner contrary to the legal provisions of the amendment. So, as long as the hacker was just hacking for his own fun and not at the direction of the FBI, the target cannot claim a violation of those rights. However, the foundation for evidentiary value would be at issue in these posts. Anything that is just words would be almost impossible to prosecute. I get screenshots of stuff all the time that can start an investigation, but in order to have it be legally admissible evidence, police need to go the extra step to get a search warrant for whatever platform the original posts were on. Meaning, the screenshot of creepy posts gives us probable cause for a search warrant, but in order to prove those posts actually came from the person's account and the IP info for that account at the time of the post all match up to the suspect, we need the official data from Facebook or whatever to seal it up. Which in your case would be tough to do now that it's shut down. They are probably not jumping to respond to subpoena requests. Videos are slightly different because the video itself is the evidence. Although with all the deep state fake stuff now, that line is a little bit more fuzzy. But if it's a video of an illegal act and the person is clearly identifiable and said person was confirmed to be present at where the act occurred, it's possible that alone could be sufficient evidence. The fact the evidence originated from a hacker doesn't make it, at its root, inadmissible. So in other words, this was stolen, and we presume that this hacker or group of hackers were not working on behalf of a state, such as U.S. police, whether they're local or federal, or the government themselves. They simply did this for their own reasons, and I actually quoted the reasons the hacker publicly states, meaning they were not working on behalf of the government, and therefore this is not something like fruits of a poisonous tree. This can actually be admissible in a court of law, providing everything that our prosecutor friend here just told us regarding getting warrants and actually validating it. Not just words, but actual videos, and then secondary evidence to confirm that the video is actually legitimate. So if you are a Parler user, for example, and you were at the Capitol, and you went through and attempted to delete and scrub your Parler account, and they copied it out, and it had, let's say, videos that were damning, this could be used against you in a court of law in the United States. I was actually really fascinated by that answer. My default thought would be, well, no, it's illegally stolen data. They'd have to get it from Parler directly, and as a prosecutor states, they would want to go to Parler, but they're not exactly going to be responding to subpoenas right now because they don't even have a live website, if you think about it. So this is very interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of fallout from this, and when Parler gets back online, I'd be very curious to see if the 70 terabytes that were stolen, obviously they own the original, is going to be back online. So for example, I actually have a Parler account. I signed up for Parler almost at the very beginning of when they started, and I do that for every single social media platform because you don't know when the next big one is going to be that's going to take a dent out of Facebook or whatever. And it has been very interesting for me as I am tracking things like QAnon to see Parler essentially convert in 2020, essentially into a QAnon haven. So we're going to see where this goes. I think this is a really interesting topic. We are not done, from this. And on some of my social media platforms, I also posted that there are threats that the FBI is reporting on of 3 potential threats before the inauguration. So we're not out of the woods of this, but I thought everybody would find this really interesting because I usually come at this from the cybersecurity, cyber warfare standard. This is the legal standard, and I did my homework. So there you go. I hope you guys learned something. I definitely did. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.